This week on the Beginner Photography Podcast,
we help a fellow beginner photographer. Let's get into it. Callum,
right?
back, man.
What's going on?
It's been a week. It's been a crazy week, as some of our listeners remember from last week. What did we do last week?
What is
Oh,
going
wait.
on?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I had a baby. That's what happened last week.
That's all? That's it?
It was a pretty crazy week. We had family fly in. My wife Stormy actually gave birth on her due date, which I don't think I've ever heard of a baby being born on her due date, but I only have 2 babies, so I guess that's not a really large pool to pick from. Birth went really well. It was incredible. You know what? I had a ton of fun. This was a lot of fun. I Snapchatted the whole birth, and I know that you were following along with me. It was just so cool to see everybody's reaction because the gender was a complete surprise for both Stormy and I. So when the baby came out, everybody was like, "What is it? What is it? What is it?" And being able to share that on Snapchat was just really interesting. I mean, typically, as a photographer, I thought I'll just take a really nice photo, we'll share it, that'll be how we announce it. But using Snapchat was just an entirely new medium, and I think that everybody watching had a good time. I've gotten a few comments on Facebook and on Instagram from people saying that they were following the Snapchat story, and it was just a ton of fun. So I think it's just, a testament to this new world that we live in. We never know where we're going to, consume whatever's next, and there's always something that's on the horizon. It's a bunch of fun, but since then it's been no sleep.
No sleep at all.
No sleep at all. Last night our coffee machine broke, so I had to make a early morning run to go get Stormy and I some coffee. And but we're here. We're powering through this, man. And I know that you right now have also been what am I trying to say here? You are also suffering from a lack of sleep. It's been crazy.
Yeah, my fiance has just attempted her first 100-mile race, 160 kilometers. So I have been up since, it's like noon hour Sunday. What day is it? Is it Sunday? Today's, right?
Yeah.
It's
I
Sunday,
had to think about that. It is Sunday, yeah.
And I have been up since Saturday morning at 5:30.
That's man, you're just really her support system, aren't you?
Yeah, so you have to have someone who's obviously there to assess you, make sure you're eating, drinking fluids, you haven't crushed down and destroyed yourself. And she did really well. She got 80 miles into the 100-mile race before just the culmination, I think, of things. She just had the worst. So yesterday was super hot. It was the hottest day of the year. It was horrible. I was sitting outside in the shade and I was upset just sitting there with water.
I saw your constant calls for beer on Snapchat.
Yeah, it was super hot. People were dropping out of the race left, right, and center. Around lap 4, Catherine's knee started to bother her, and she troopered on. Really tough, really tough. And then in the night, she went out in a lap after her knee was really starting to hurt, and it just downpoured. Not even just sporadically, just kept going. And she came back in. I think, she made the right call. She had to stop because she was going to do a lot of damage to her knee. But she did 80 miles. That's the furthest she's ever run.
That's insane.
I'm so proud of her. She's amazing.
That is so awesome. I could never run. I think the furthest I've ever ran was in middle school, 1 mile. So to do that times 80 is just absolutely incredible. But I think I'm going to stick to a car because she is a stronger woman than I will ever be. So tell her congrats for me. That is awesome.
Will do. Yeah, she just crushed it. I was so amazed.
Well, Callum, I think that we should get into today's podcast. I think that our lack of sleep has just made us rambling on and on and on. So to our listeners, I apologize. But quick update is that our contest Remember, everybody, we are giving away a brand new Fuji Instax Instant Mini 8 camera with film to one of you. One of you amazing people who are listening to this. We've had quite a few entries. I'm excited to see what else comes in, but you still have a week to enter if you're listening to this the day that it comes out. So you still have until June 5th at midnight to go ahead and enter, to get it in. That's right. That's right. And if you do that, like I said, we're going to be picking out a winner for next week's episode. All that you have to do, it's so easy. It's so easy, Callum. You remember how to do it? How could you forget? It's so easy.
Okay, hold on. I gotta go get a photo. I gotta make it a good one.
Gotta make it a good one.
I gotta go on to either Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
And I gotta post that photo with the hashtag #myBPP giveaway.
That's right. All one word.
Tag us in the photo, and then make sure you're following us.
And that's it. That's all you got to do.
You should have been following us to start with, but you can do it at the end as well.
That's true. I mean, and that's it.
And then you're in.
So basically, if you're going to post a photo on Instagram or Facebook anyway, which you probably are because you're awesome and you're great at photography and you're going to be posting photos because you want people to see them, then you might as well give it the hashtag #myBPP giveaway because you could win a pretty awesome camera. And who doesn't want to win a free camera? So once again, go ahead and go out, have fun shooting, take some photos, upload it to Instagram, Facebook, use the hashtag #myBPP, that's Beginner Photography Podcast, giveaway. All one word, no spaces, no nothing fancy, #myBPP giveaway to be entered to win.
Do it.
Callum, today we also have quite a different podcast than usual. It's kind of experimental, wouldn't you say?
It's very experimental. I think it is just super experimental. And it's exciting.
It is exciting. Yes. Yeah. We are not business coaches. We don't have every answer that you could imagine. We have a fellow beginner photographer who, just like you, might be starting out in their photography journey. And she's been pretty active in the community on Instagram, commenting on a lot of photos, sharing them, talking with us. And we saw that she's just starting out. So we really wanted to give her some tips that Callum and I wish that people had told us when we first started out. And even Callum shares some great tips that were shared to him years after he started. And I learned them, and I wish that I had heard this starting out, and I will be making some changes to my website. And, you know, a lot of it is about psychology, and a lot of it is just trying to make it as simple as possible. Callum, do you want to get into this episode right now with Margaret Koning?
Yes, I do.
Let's do it. Okay. Today on the podcast, Callum and I are super excited. It's something brand new. And today we have Margaret, and I'm going to murder this one more time. Koning, is that right?
Koning.
Koning. Okay, perfect. Man, I just need to get better at English. I've always been so bad at it. I apologize. Margaret, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Perfect. So typically we kind of throw you an introduction. We ask you about your start off in photography. So we're going to do this one more time. We want you to introduce yourself, figure out where you got started, and then we're going to explain a little bit more about this very experimental episode of the Beginner Photography Podcast. All right?
All right, awesome. So I'm Margaret Koning. I'm here in Colorado, and I'm a native, and that means I don't ski yet, so you know. But I picked up the camera a couple years ago, and I was photographing my kids mostly. And it kind of took off from there, and now it's kind of exciting because I'm turning it kind of into a business. So, loving doing it. So.
Okay, so here's where this is going to get fun. Now, here's a disclaimer: this episode is in no way, shape, or form meant to make you, I guess, question what it is that you're doing. It is all about trying to help you in your business and your website, trying to get you going, because obviously you have a website, and like you just mentioned, you're starting a business, and we want to get you on the right track. Okay?
That'd be great. And I question what I do every day, so.
Oh, perfect.
So do I.
Okay. That's
Every
not
day.
a new thing.
Every day. I question myself. Raymond probably too.
No, I know exactly what I'm doing. I got
Oh,
everything
Raymond.
nailed down. It's perfect. Okay, so you talked about a little bit about how long you've been photographing. When was the first time you picked up a camera? How did that start?
My husband, so we had our little girl right out of college. I had my Gracie girl, and of course you have a kid, you gotta get a camera. So we got a little Canon PowerShot, and that was super fun. I knew a little bit about Photoshop, so I started tinkering around with that, and yeah, it just kind of went from there. And then I got a Rebel camera, a T3i, and
Canon shooter.
and I just kept staying with Canon, and it was awesome. So I finally took that off and put it on manual, and I started figuring out a little bit more about these crazy things called histograms and ISOs, and that was really fun. And then I got to stay home with my second kid, and it gave me some time and opportunity to use my kids as models, and kind of started to work with my little Canon T3i with that. And then I started to really get into photography with Clickin' Moms. I found Meg Lokes. Yeah. And Meg Lokes had this crazy Instagram. I love her work. And I thought, okay, that's like such a huge goal of mine. Let me see where I can go with that. And then she announced she was doing a class, and I found Clickin' Moms through that class. So
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's another episode now where Clickin' Moms is like the place to be for Clickin' Moms.
Absolutely.
Not for Raymond and I, but.
oh, absolutely. No, once you have kids, though, I mean, it kind of is right up your alley. It's just how to get them to look at the camera and not be sick of you, and all that good stuff. So I love the format of their classes, and I've been kind of a junkie ever since. So
cool. So I mean, what I want to ask is, you said you're kind of clicking away with your kids and stuff. Is that what you want to shoot, or is there another area that you want to go at, that you want to explore and adventure into?
Right now it's like, I think everybody always says, like, what's your style? I like to just say I don't really have one right now, and I'm okay with that. I've kind of been just trying to be okay with not having, like, I only shoot kids or seniors, or everybody kind of tends to do something pretty specific. And right now I'd like to try it all and kind of see what I'm comfortable with most.
Okay, so you're still in the phase where it's like you haven't figured out what it is that you want to shoot, so you're just shooting everything to see what it is that you become passionate about, right?
Right.
Okay. So then that makes this just a smidge bit harder. Okay, so what if your phone rang right now and somebody said, hey, I want you to photograph what would you want them to say next?
Probably family and kids.
Family and kids. Okay.
I'm pretty comfortable with that. I don't think it's like, I don't think I'd be comfortable with a wedding, or landscapes are super hard for me right now still. I know what I'm not comfortable with. I'm just trying to kind of hone in on what I am comfortable with and trying to make that as specific.
I like that.
I think that is really great that you have identified areas you don't want or that you're not comfortable with yet. And I think that's a mistake some photographers do make really early on, is that they think you just have a camera and you can just jump into everything, and they become a little bit disenchanted when it doesn't work out, because they're not really sure what they do and don't like. That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so I'm actually going to kind of piggyback off that, what Callum said. I completely agree. There's so many people who, when if you're in any sort of Facebook groups, they say, oh man, I just shot my first wedding for like $200. I had no idea what I was doing, and it was terrible, and it was horrible. but it's, you know, they don't realize the risk that's involved in shooting a wedding, that it really is like this once-in-a-lifetime thing. And I think that just being self-aware of that is incredibly important. So A+ for you, Margaret. Congratulations on that. Okay, so for the rest of the episode, we're going to focus right now on family and kids. So we'll just say you're, for the sake of the episode, we're going to call you a family portrait photographer, okay?
Perfect.
Okay, so here's what's next. If you want to be paid to, and here's another disclaimer, we are in like no way, shape, or form like business coaches, okay? So every bit of information that we give you, there's going to be pros and cons, and it's figuring out what it is that's going to work for you. But the information that we're going to share, you'll see that Callum and I don't agree on all of it, but nope. It's what we have found helpful with other photographers growing their businesses, if that makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there are 3 things that you need for people to hire you as a photographer. Okay, so the first thing that they need is they need to be able to find you, right? Because if they don't know who you are, then they're never going to contact you, okay? They need to know exactly what it is that you will do for them. Because if it's very vague and you just say, hey, buy my services, are you a plumber? Are you a painter? Like you have to make it specifically, or I guess explicitly clear what it is that you're going to do. And then the third thing is that you need to make it as easy as humanly possible for them to contact you. Because it's already kind of, you know, people don't really want to call anymore. Email is the fastest way to do it. So if you make them jump through hoops to contact you, then guess what? There's a chance that they might just say, forget it, and then just leave, right? Just never even worry about contacting you. And then if they don't contact you, you're not going to shoot them. So based on those 3 things, we took a look at your website, and here's what we're going to talk about, okay? First things first, your work is great. You've obviously been working behind the camera, putting in the time with the kids. I'm sure that the kids are sick of it, but they're going to really appreciate these photos later on.
Well,
and
thank you.
no, absolutely. I think that it's super important to stress that, you know, good photography starts with good photography. But if you really want to make this a business that lasts for a long time, unfortunately, there's a lot more to it than just, you know, knowing your camera inside and out. However, it's very important. So we have some website notes for you, okay?
Okay.
So like we said, first things first, you did great. You're starting off with a solid, awesome photography, which is primo, because if anybody sees bad photography, they're not going to contact you.
Nobody.
Nobody. Trust me, there was a long time I went where I was like, why aren't people hiring? It was terrible. But learning those skills is really going to help you, which you've obviously already started working on. You're off to a great start, and listening to podcasts like this really shows that you're trying to learn and that you want to become a better photographer and a better business owner. So, once again, great start. So our website notes, here we go. Callum, why don't you start off with this? Because this is where we differ. So I'm going to let him start off with our first note.
All right. So you want to go straight into this argument there? You want to do this, Ray?
Let's do this.
You want to do this? All right. Wix. I believe you're on Wix, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Raymond and I differ on this because we used to both be on Squarespace. Raymond is still on Squarespace. I moved away from it even just recently because Wix, and my belief, Squarespace is terrible for SEO. Raymond actually educated me that even Wix, and I didn't know this, unless I guess maybe if you pay, or even if you do pay, it's not even going to help you on Google search. Get away from it while you can. I moved away, and I'm going to take an SEO hit. We advise that you would do this as well. Go to Squarespace if you think that's something for you. I'm not going to say don't go there. Or go to WordPress. There's tons of themes out there. But Raymond and I do differ on whether you should use Squarespace or not. Raymond can talk to you about the pros on that. My advice is if Wix is not going to help you boost your SEO, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
What I would say is that what you want to focus on, your photography is already good. We don't have to worry about taking better photographs. It's really about putting you up front in the spotlight for couples who might want family portraits and sessions. And so SEO is a huge thing you'll need to focus on going forward. Someone types in Colorado Springs family photographer, as soon as possible, we want you to be like on the first page, because they will just go, wow, they're on the first page. That must mean they're legitimate.
And that is why SEO is so important, like we talked about. Now, I know that these are terms that Callum and I use like on a daily basis, so I apologize for anybody else who's listening who doesn't exactly understand what SEO is. SEO is simply search engine optimization. And what that means is that Google is always searching the internet, right? They're trying to find information on everything on the internet, including you. So you have a website, and it's hosted through Wix, and I completely understand why. I'm guessing you started off with Wix because it's super easy to use, and it's free, right?
Yes. And
that's all that you need.
WordPress is awesome, but I don't have all day to sit there.
Right, exactly.
Totally agree.
That is fine. Like, that is more than fine, because you know what? You're not a six-figure photography business. You don't have a calendar that is like, I don't have any more room for anything but shoots. So that's completely fine, because you're getting going. And I've always said this, perfection is the enemy. I say this a lot, and I already forgot it. Perfection is the enemy of progress, right? So just having a Wix website is progress enough. So you've got a good start. Now it's just ensuring that you can keep going with that start. So like you said, when I first started off with my website, I went through WordPress because everybody said WordPress is the best, WordPress is the best, WordPress is the best. And I agree. WordPress is the best. I see Callum kind of surprised that I said that right there. But here's the thing, is that I signed up for WordPress, and I let it sit for 6 months. I didn't do anything with it. And it's because I didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't intuitive. What is a host? Where am I putting all of this information? Why does my website look like garbage? I don't know what I'm doing. So because I wasn't doing anything with my website, I didn't have a website. It wasn't until I signed up for Squarespace, found out how easy it was for me to use, and you do miss out on a lot of the key features, I guess, more technically advanced features that WordPress has, but once again, it gets you going, and that is what is important. So I would recommend starting off now, that as soon as possible. Now, this doesn't have to be today, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, it doesn't have to be in a few weeks, but having a great website is key to being found on the internet. So if you were to move and you wanted something easy that you could kind of progress into, I would recommend Squarespace. Callum might say, you know what, I wasted so many years on Squarespace, just go ahead and jump in to WordPress. 100% up to you and how much time you want to invest in your website. I can tell you that I am on the first page of Google for my search terms, but it took a lot of work. Maybe more work than it would have taken on WordPress. I don't know, but that's just the research that can be done. But Callum and I both agree that Wix, their whole business model is they want you to pay for their services, which makes sense. They're a business, can't blame them. But if you don't pay, they will negatively affect your website. So just as an example, I searched for your website title exactly in Google, and you didn't come up. I had to click on your link within your Instagram profile to be able to find your website. I would say that maybe if you paid for a Wix site, I don't really know how it works. Maybe you would have shown up. I'm not sure. But that's the first thing that we're talking about, okay? So website is important, but make sure that you're going to work on it.
And I think, I want a disclaimer that I'm not saying I'm on the fence of not so much Squarespace, but one of the big movements for me to move away from Squarespace is I wanted more customization in my website. Right. But Squarespace, you can get on the front page. Raymond is there. I know other people in my city, and my city has thousands of wedding photographers who are, I believe, on Squarespace and are on the first couple pages. Not impossible. Squarespace is great as an easy design template. Millions of people use them simply because it is so easy to jump in, and it is pretty. It is gorgeous. Probably in this very specific scenario, for my advice is I'm going to actually side with Raymond and say Squarespace might be a great jump for you. just to get away from Wix and them blocking you from search engine optimization.
Cool. Okay, awesome.
Was that too harsh? Was that too much information? Was that because, like I said, the last thing that we want to do is discourage you from progressing, because, like we said, I mean, your work is good. We want you to get out in front of more people.
It'd only be harsh if it was like 5 years into it, and
And you're
put
like,
all this work and effort.
Yeah.
Where are these people?
That's funny.
Talked with a wedding photographer who I really trust in the industry, been around for like 10 years. His front page Google in my city, and I'm like 4 years in, and he chopped me down. Photography, a whole bunch of stuff. If you can't take the critique, not the greatest industry. I'm glad that you can take it, and you can either just agree or just disagree. That is totally cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just to kind of ask you some questions here.
Please do.
Where do you think your like clients go first? Like your Facebook, your Instagram, or your website?
Callum, you want to take this one first?
Yeah. So
this is the $1 million question, because if you can figure this out, you can get in front of the right people.
Right.
I am a big believer in the human connection. The internet is great, but it does not replace word of mouth referral. That is so hard when you're first starting out. I am sure I got no word of mouth referrals for the first couple of years because I didn't have too many clients. But it's super important at the start to take care of those people you do work for, whether you do it for free, for a coffee, or for actual money. And I've done all three. I did tons of free stuff. I did stuff where people literally just gave me a case of beer because I can be bribed with beer.
Woo!
And I also accept money. That also helps. And top of the line, every tip I got from anyone who's a successful business person in or outside the industry is talk to people in person. Go down and meet them. And when they do something that's going to help your business, reciprocate.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the time. Now it is a bit closer to organic searching and Facebook and even Instagram. I would still say it's like 60% referral, and then the rest of the 40 is split up between social media channels.
Mine is almost the exact opposite. I've really only been, Indianapolis is a pretty small wedding market, I guess, for photographers who are doing it correctly. There's a lot of flash websites, so I found that it was pretty easy for me to jump the ranks pretty quick because, well, Google doesn't like flash anymore. So I found a lot of traction in my online presence. And I'm going to piggyback once again on Callum, is that in a business, nurturing those relationships is really what's going to grow your business. And that might not even be like in a person-to-person sense. It could just be interacting with somebody. So you need to be everywhere. Everybody's on Facebook, right? So step one, get a Facebook page.
I did last night.
You did last night? Oh, man.
I was like...
That's perfect, because I looked today and I saw that you had one fan, and I was like, there's two things that could be happening here. Either one, you're not promoting yourself, which is just as, as detrimental to your success, or for two, she just started this thing. So I'm glad to see that you're taking that step and moving forward. So that's good. So that, I guess, gets us into our next question for you, is you have the business Instagram, and now you have the business Facebook page. The next step is continuing to put out work on those channels. Now, one of the biggest hurdles for me was when I first started off, and I would say that everybody does this when they first start off, is that every time you have an engagement shoot, family session, anything of the sort, what do? You post 50 pictures in one day. You're like, look how busy I am. This is great. I love all these photos. And then you have like 2 months of radio silence. You don't post anything, right? Because, maybe you're not working in those 2 months. You're busy with life. You just don't have any other shoots. Well, what does that look like if you went on somebody's Facebook page and you're like, wow, these are great photos. These were from 2 months ago. Nothing's been posted in 2 months. Did they die? Like, you don't know. And that's the last thing that you want, is somebody to question whether or not you're still around. And here's the key that I learned from the great Sam Hurd, who, if you're a listener to this podcast, a lot of people know. People, as much as you want to think that people watch your work religiously and that they come to your Facebook page every single day to say, what's new, like, show me something new, they don't. So you can show photos that you took 2 years ago. You know, post them, come up with some sort of theme. People aren't going to remember what it was that you posted 2 weeks ago if you posted the same photo. There's a fine line between faking it till you make it and promoting yourself. So the last thing that you want to do is lie to people saying like, oh, today I had such a great shoot, when really it was like, 3 months old or something like that. But you can just make a comment about it, like, oh my God, those eyes. Like, oh, wouldn't you look at a bride like that or something? Just coming up with a comment that gets people to think and say, oh, that's a good photo, because that's all that they want. All that you're buying here is attention. You just want people to get eyes on your photos. Once they do that, they like your photos, they're going to be invested in you. If they comment back, always. I'm sure that you understand this. This is that nourishing relationships.
So what's the golden rule, though, for, not to interrupt, but what's the golden rule for posting? Is it one a day? Is it
now, here's the thing, is that it changes completely. So
all the time.
All the time. With different algorithms, you don't know. But to be safe, once a day. Once a day, because you can't go wrong with posting something every day. Now, you don't want to be posting 50 times a day, but I would say start off with just once a day. Okay? That's all that you have to do. It takes 10 minutes, once a day, that's it. And then if you find that those posts are getting traction, people are liking them, maybe post 2 a day. Maybe you'll see, hey man, I get a lot of people liking and commenting on my photos on Wednesdays. Maybe I'll post 2 photos on Wednesdays, an hour or so apart, and just seeing how well your audience takes it. So, once again, we're not business professionals. We had to figure out all of this stuff on our own, and a lot of it is just guess and check. So, if you don't know the answer, don't worry about getting it perfect. Just do something and see what happens. Obviously, just starting off with your business page yesterday, you don't really have much of an audience. So it's all about growing that. So to grow your audience, post it on your Facebook. Let people know, hey, guess what, everybody? Like, I have my official Facebook page now. I would love for you to come over and check it out. But I would really encourage you to have some sort of offer for them so that once they show up, they say, wow, this work is good. So you know what? Actually, let me take a step back. If I were you, and if I were in the same situation as you were right now, what I would do is I would post 1 photo a day for a week, right? You don't have to tell anybody about your Facebook page yet. And then in a week from now, give them a promotion. So say, hey, guess what, everybody? I got a Facebook page, and because I'm now on Facebook, if you come over and like it, either have some sort of giveaway, maybe a free session where people have to enter, or maybe a discount, 10% off or something, to kind of celebrate you starting this new thing. It's just all about continuing that relationship. The like doesn't mean anything. It's the attention that you get afterward that is what is most important. So if you can get both of those at the same time, double win.
Yeah, and I think to piggyback off kind of everything Raymond's just said is,
we're doing a lot of piggybacking today. I just got to throw that out there.
My back is going to be sore. I want to say, don't be afraid to promote yourself. I think even early on, I was afraid. I was like, oh, my friends are going to hate me because they're going to see, post every day, every other day for the next years, and they're going to just be like, I don't want to be friends with this guy anymore. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to share it on your own wall. Don't be afraid to put out photos and put yourself out there. If you believe in what you're doing, the people will find you, but nobody can find you unless you actually put it out there and say, this is who I am, this is what I do it well, and here's why you might want it. And I did, on top of what Raymond said, around the promotion free session, I did that when, I was starting out. I gave away free couple sessions. 1, because I needed the practice. 2, because I needed the portfolio. And nobody was hiring me anyways. It sounds really cutting. Nobody was hiring me anyways. So I had to go out and make my own portfolio. It's not like when you're an electrician and you're in the phone book, someone just calls you. People want to see that you can do it already in this industry before people will pay the money. And sometimes people will just pay the money because they love you anyways. So you don't have to worry about it. So they need to know exactly, I guess, what you will do for them, And I think that was one thing I noticed on your website is it was a little bit hard. I think I had to go all the way to the bottom to find
see.
out that you were in Colorado.
Mhm.
I know you told us, but when I looked at your website, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Great photos. Are you even in my city? And that should be something that's like right at the top. Raymond, do you agree with that?
Yeah, if you go on my website, it literally says my name, right under it, Indianapolis wedding photographer, just so that there is zero confusion. Because, like I said, the attention is what you really want. So wasting somebody's time to say, oh my God, these photos are really good, I really want them, where is she located? Oh, like 4 states away, can be very confusing and upsetting for somebody. So just getting that out of the way, or even if they're in Colorado but on the opposite side of the state as you, it can feel like, I don't want to say a letdown, but you really don't want to waste anybody's time. You really want their experience to be as good as possible, and you want them to know exactly what it is that you do. So on that, if you put your location right at the top, there's going to be no question. People are going to figure it out immediately. But my next question is, also on your website, you call yourself a chapter photographer. I was confused by this. Do you want to give us a little insight as to what exactly a chapter photographer is?
I think like my kind of trademark thing is to illustrate a chapter in your life. Wherever you're at, I can help to kind of take pictures, and then you can look back. I mean, how many family portraits do you look back on and say, oh, that was before, we had our second or our third, and we were in that chapter of our life. And I think that's kind of where I was going with that. But if that's confusing, I can absolutely put Colorado photographer.
No. Because the way that you explained it was great. I really like your explanation of it. But you really need to be explicitly clear as to what a chapter photographer is. And Callum and I talked about this right before the podcast, and he had some ideas for some added keywords that you could use to really drive home what it is that a chapter photographer is. I got a little tongue-tied there for a second.
Don't worry about it, Raymond. I'll do the talking for the rest of the day.
I'll just go nap.
So I think, in the photographic industry, it seems like photographers will fall into a couple broad ranges, and the keywords become almost useless because, like, in my city, there's thousands of storytellers. I think it is cool that you're trying to innovate by branding yourself as a chapter photographer. I actually think it's absolutely genius because I don't think I've ever heard that tied together.
Neither have I.
What I was lost a little bit, as kind of Raymond explained, was that I didn't really identify what that really meant and what I was going to get out of a chapter photographer. When you said it, when you just explained it to us, I was like, oh, that makes total sense. I'm in between this period of my life, and it's a concise collection of photography that is just this area of my life, and I love that. I think that is totally cool. What you'll want to do is find a way to translate that on your website so it's specific. That's okay. I can hold up. Hello.
Yeah. Oh, hi. Is this Gracie?
This is Gracie. Can you say hello?
Hi.
Hi, Gracie. How are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, bye. Oh, she's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So all I was trying to get across was that on your website you'll want to have some focused keywords that will set people off. You'll emotionally tie them to your work. And that could be chapter photographer will be the main focus, but you'll want keywords that might say like an illustrative memory. It could be moments. You could use words like moments, and you could put it right on the front page of your website, right on the home page, and have 2 or 3 sentences that just goes, here's what I am, here's what I'm going to do for you, and you are going to want this.
Yeah, I completely agree with Callum there. It's just, even if you wanted to call yourself Colorado Springs, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you called yourself a Colorado Springs family or even chapter family photographer, that might take some work. I'm not very good with language, I guess you could say. But if you said that and then had one line underneath it, like almost a tagline, capturing those or illustrating this chapter in your life from where you came from to where you are now, or something like that. As long as it's directly underneath whatever your keywords are that you want Google to find you as, it shouldn't be confusing, and I think that might work really well. I mean, it's really all about branding, coming up with your name, your tagline, and obviously what it is that you do is super important.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I think just to make a small point is, right on your front webpage you have this beautiful kind of out of focus photo with some light shining through. It's a little bit hard to see, and this is not a huge deal, but it says helping to illustrate a chapter in your life. I got a really awesome lesson from someone in the industry only a couple years ago, and it's because I had a business card that said, "Let's create your story." And I was like, "Oh, that's genius. That's exactly what I want to do." And he was like, "Yeah, never use the word 'let's do this.' Like, you want to do it together, but you want to let them know that you are the person, the safe option, the trusting option that you're going to do it, you're going to accomplish it. Not, we're going to do this together and you're going to have to do some work too.
But you're still going to pay me.
But you're still going to pay me to do the thing you're going to have to do." My only little tidbit that I thought was a little bit concerning, and it's not even really a concern, is that I would just maybe even in that front page where it says helping to illustrate, you can just put helping, or not helping, remove helping, sorry. Illustrating, you could just say illustrating Colorado Springs families chapter by chapter. And
Whoa!
That would just be your tagline, for a major brand situation, instead of helping to illustrate a chapter in your life story. One, you've gotten the location out of the way, and it's saying chapter by chapter, and people are going, "Oh, she's going to be able to photograph, our first newborn, then when they're all kind of 5 and 6 years old, and then when they get older, she'll be there again. She's chapter by chapter, And then after that, you could have that part where the About Me says, our biggest life moments go undocumented, and my work in Colorado Springs does this, and bang,
Awesome.
people
Awesome.
go, "Oh my God, that's what I want. I want someone to be there, when we have a birth, and someone, there when they're toddlers running around in mud, and then when they also get older." And it's a stages thing, you always want to try and make sure that you identify with them.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love it. And the psychology behind it is just, it's hard to figure out we're all consumers, and
Sure.
sometimes we see the word helping and we're like, "Oh, well, maybe I don't want to do anything."
Yeah, I think that's really a hard hurdle to get over, and that's why making it, a lot of people don't like to admit it because, when you look at a photographer, typically their business name is their name photography. Gabe McClintock photography, Sam Hurd photography, except for, I guess, Candace, who's the blissful maven. She did it right. But I guess we're not all as creative to come up with such an amazing name like that. But there are so many people behind the scenes who we use to help us out. So like Callum said, he got that advice, like helping is kind of a bad word. Like you want to let them know that you're in charge and that you're going to do this for them. I've hired copywriters before because I'm, as you can tell, I'm not very good with typing. I'm not good with words. I just, am here to help. So getting somebody else who is amazing at one thing, and if it's their linguistics, like I want them to help me. Just because my name is in the title of the business doesn't mean that I'm the only one doing this. It really is a group effort, and that's why I think community is so important.
Yeah, Oh, go ahead, Raymond. Sorry.
No, I think that this is why this is like a really cool medium to help out people starting off, because a lot of times you don't get that behind the curtain view. I guess is that the Wizard of Oz mention there. So hopefully this will bring light to growing your business and making it more enjoyable for you, being able to shoot more, and just having a way to provide for your family that is really fun, and it's a really great business.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I forgot what I was going to jump in about.
Well, then let me jump into one more thing.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to wrap this up, but the next thing that I wanted to get into was that when we read your About Me page, it was good, okay? It was good, but it wasn't great. And here's why, okay? I think as beginners, we have that mindset that we do want people to know what it is that we do, so we describe it in the about me. And that typically goes, I've had a camera since I was 2, I've been shooting for a long time, I love capturing those moments, I can't wait to capture those moments for you. But when every photographer's website says that, there's nothing to differentiate you from them. And what you really want, I mean, if you just look, as I'm sure that you have, at the Blissful Maven's website, she'll use any sort of language that she wants to use. She even said in her interview, is like, I don't care what you want, like, I'm going to photograph these the way that it's like I see them. And she really pushes that in her branding, the way that she describes her work. So it works for her. You know what I mean? She is pushing away so many clients that she doesn't want to work with who are going to tell her how to photograph them, and she is only allowing the people who know exactly what she does, and she's managing those expectations really well. And you want people to connect with you because, like we said, this entire episode, it's all about nurturing those relationships. So, maybe mention something like, are you the type of mom that I don't know, back to Candace, enjoys cocktails for breakfast, or are you the mom who you'll always find with a book in the library? You know what I mean? Those are two very different people, and you want people to read that and say, hey, that's me. That's me. We would get along really well. Excuse me. And then they'd be compelled to go ahead and contact you, and that's what it is that you want, is to get contacts with people.
Awesome.
So, Margaret, do you have any more questions for us at this moment in terms of your website switching? Or, you know what? No, I take that back. Before we get into questions, I want to know what is the next step that you are going to take in your business?
I'm going to continue to kind of work on my portfolio. That's a huge one. Continue to be consumed by photography. I can't get enough right now. I'm in that. Right. I don't know if that ever lets up, but I'm in the stage. I thought it would, and then I got a Mark III Canon for Mother's Day this year.
Whoa!
And, yeah, it was huge. I'm like literally just out of the box photographer right now. So and I took it out of the box and I put it back in because it was pretty intimidating. But
I dropped my camera this morning. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's heavy. It's heavy. It's my workout now. So anyway, I am really working on just knowing the ins and outs of, I call her Bertha, and getting to know her a little bit better, and working on that portfolio, and trying to kind of, I think so much of our lives now are social media. So working on that presence, and what you guys said today is so very helpful. So I really appreciate it.
Great. Well, then that brings us into our next point. We want you back in October.
I would love to be back.
And we want an update on how it's going in your photography business. In the meantime, you're pretty active, obviously, in the community. That's how we reached out to you. We want you to, keep up with us. Let us know how it's going. And if you have any more questions, always feel free to ask us. We'd be more than happy to help. And who knows, hopefully come October, you'll be booked up and, have a lot of new stuff that's exciting going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And your advice is definitely going to help that. I'm sure of it. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, Callum, you want to end this one for us?
Sure. We have had an awesome time.
Oh, wait.
What?
Totally interrupt you. Margaret, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you?
I was just about to ask her that, Raymond.
Oh, my bad. Okay, I'm going to throw it back to Callum. Callum, why don't you end this for us?
Oh, no, Raymond, you can't. Just leave. You leave. We have had a great time.
See what I have to go through, Mark?
We hope that, we've helped you a little bit, and we've, answered some questions, either before you've asked them or, after you've asked them. And we are so excited to see where you go from here. When we have you back, we want to see the hustle that you've put in, and see everything that you've been doing. Let everyone know on the podcast where they can go to find you, so they can follow your journey and see all the awesome photography that you do.
Well, my IG handle right now is Margaret Koning with a K, Koning photography. You can also find me on Facebook in the same way. And right now the website is on Wix.com. It is margaretkoningphotography.com. So
Perfect.
you can find all of that good stuff there, and maybe I'll be moving over to a new site soon.
Cool. Awesome. We're going to put all of that in the show notes so you have direct links if you are listening to us today. You should be. You shouldn't run this podcast and not listen. That's rude. I'm angry at you who are not listening right now, even though you can't hear me. Raymond, I've had an awesome time. Raymond, pull it together, man. Pull it together.
I don't know where you're going with that one. I'm trying to piece it together in my head, but
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to. I've had a great day. Raymond?
Yeah, again, Margaret, really, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and helping us out with this kind of very experimental episode. We hope that we can grow your business, and I cannot wait to check in with you come October and see all your progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Don't be afraid to, on the Facebook group or Instagram, ask questions. If we don't know the answers right up front, we know people who do, and we're more than happy to help out.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Man, Callum, you know what? I think I really like this episode. For being so experimental, we went a completely different direction. Like we mentioned at the beginning, we are not experts in any way, shape, or form. And, I felt like it was a tad bit harsh because... Oh, hi, buddy. And I feel like it was a tad bit harsh because of it wasn't criticism. It was working on a podcast. Okay, bye. It's simply information that hopefully Margaret can use to build upon, gain that momentum, and really start going in her photography business. So, Margaret, if you're listening, massive thanks. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you did and being so open. I know that sometimes starting out, it's hard to be as open as a beginner because we're often told to put on these big airs, right? Like, I'm this big photographer, I'm always shooting and all this stuff. So being really humble and taking the criticism is such an awesome mindset to have. And I can tell that you are really going to make it and go far. So I cannot wait to have you back on here in October, right?
Yeah, October is going to be, I think, we're going to see a complete 180. I think, if Margaret is, as implements the things that she says she wants to get done and really takes it on board and pushes herself, her photography is killer. I'm super stoked to see where she's at in 6 months because you can change a whole bunch of things in 6 months or even just keep doing a few big things right and be completely different place. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, I've been watching her the past few days on Instagram, and I can already tell that she's taking our advice. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, you should probably go follow Margaret on Instagram. She mentioned her link in the episode, but if you don't remember it, you can also find it on our website, thebeginnerphotographypodcast.com. Go down to the show notes. Then you'll have all the information from Margaret's website, her Facebook, her Instagram, as well as, like we talked about earlier, Callum and I's websites, Facebook, Instagram, if you want to connect with us, and our Snapchat stories, because they're pretty much always on fire. Callum, you're killing it. I think this is a good place to end the episode. So remember to go ahead and enter in our Beginner Photography Podcast's first giveaway. If you want to win, all you got to do, it's so easy. So easy.
Upload the photo.
That's it. Upload a photo, add a hashtag. You're going to do it anyway. Add my BPP
giveaway.
Thank you, Callum. You nailed that for me. And you could win yourself a fancy, brand new camera.
Go do it right now. So until next week, Raymond, I'm Callum Pinkney. You are apparently Raymond Hatfield.
I'm Raymond. That's right. You got it correct. I am Raymond Hatfield.
And this,
You already said that you're Callum. How about we just do this right now, buddy?
Have a great week shooting.
Were you talking to somebody named Shoot? Have a great week, Shoot.
I can't.
Let's just leave and go nap.
Okay, we will see you next week.
Later.
Later.